Welcome, guys. Today we're going to do another cooking demonstration. This is Aaron and Miss Thomas over at Saguaro High School. Today we're going to be doing chicken Parmesan, okay? So super classic, super easy dish. So let's just go over ingredients real quick. So I have boneless, skinless chicken breast. This is a big piece, so I'm actually going to cut this in half. We'll get to that in a second. Regular all-purpose flour, couple eggs, Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. You can get this at the grocery store. It comes in like a blue canister. I think Progresso makes it. You can also use unseasoned breadcrumbs and panko. You just add a little bit of Parmesan cheese to it, just to give it some flavor, okay? I like the seasoned. It comes ready to go. The flavor is excellent on it, okay? Mozzarella cheese, a little bit of Parmesan. Over here I have some marinara sauce on the stove, and that's just getting warm, okay? And then I have a saute pan with about 1 inch of olive oil in it, and I'm heating that up as we go right now, okay? So we'll get back to this in a second. So guys, I'm gonna work with raw chicken today. So I'm gonna use gloves. If you guys are doing this at home, make sure you wash your hands very thoroughly after every time you touch this chicken, okay? Okay, so I don't recommend using chicken thighs. I don't recommend using skin on chicken, just boneless, skinless chicken breast, okay? Real cheap at the store. So this is actually a really big one. So what we're gonna do is, first things first, this is too big, so we're gonna cut it right down the middle. Okay, I'm gonna try to get this in half. So real quick, guys, at this point, this is a butterflied chicken breast. If you see a recipe say butterflied, all you gotta do is cut it down, don't go all the way through, give it wings basically, okay? That's a butterflied chicken breast. But I'm actually gonna go all the way through. Okay, so now I got 2 chicken breasts. Okay, so I'm gonna take my gloves off at this point, right into the garbage with those. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is, so we want this to cook very evenly, very fast, so what we're gonna do is actually pound our chicken out a little bit. Okay, so you can either use wax paper or saran wrap. I'm gonna use the saran wrap today. So all I'm gonna do is just put a little sheet down. I'm gonna put another set of gloves on. And I'm gonna bring my chicken over and just put it right on top of that, okay? So, be very careful when you're touching raw chicken. You just don't want to spread any germs. You just want to be very careful with it, guys, okay? All right, so I'm going to bring my chicken breast right over here. So I'm just going to place it right down. Once again, I'm going to take my gloves off. Okay. I'm going to throw another sheet of saran wrap right over this, okay? So the reason we do this is, so as we're flattening our chicken, I want a good cover so the chicken juices don't go everywhere. So wax paper works well, this works well. This is called a meat tenderizer or a meat mallet. It has a flat side, it has a raised side. The raised side is more for meat if you're trying to put holes in it and tenderize it. That's not what I'm trying to do today. I'm just trying to get the chicken to an even thickness so it cooks correctly, okay? So very lightly, you don't need to beat it up or anything, just start to flatten your chicken out. So you can sort of look at it from the side. You can see where it needs to be thinned out a little bit. And you know, at this point, once you get it thinned out, depending on the sizes you want, you can cut these in half if you want to do like a smaller chicken tender. Some people like a really big chicken parm, so we'll do both. I'm not going to cut these any further. Okay, so my chicken looks good and flat. A little more right here. So as you can see, none of the chicken juice is splattered anywhere. It kept the mallet clean. So I'm just gonna take this top layer off. Okay, so those are my flattened chicken breasts right there. I'm gonna go grab another set of gloves real quick. Okay, and I'm gonna bring these right back to my cutting board. A lot of people will season their flour. I find that to be a waste. It takes a lot of seasoning to actually get flour to taste like anything. Plus, we're not actually gonna be tasting the flour in this, so we're just using it as a breading. So we're gonna come right back over to the cutting board, get this in the trash. Right back over to the cutting board. So, so what I actually want to do at this point is I want to season the breasts as is right now. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, not a ton. You're just trying to get some flavor right onto the chicken, okay? When you're doing this, use small bowls of a very small amount. See, I had chicken on my hands, so I don't want to do anything with these ever again. So those are gonna go right in the garbage after I'm done, all right? A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Flip them. Other side, do the same thing. You just want to try to get it spread out evenly, okay? It makes it easier if you do it from a little bit higher. You can actually get a little bit better coverage. So that's fun. Just don't make a mess, okay? So the rest I'm gonna do with hands, and I'll just wash my hands afterwards, okay? So these go right in the garbage. I'll deal with those later. Okay, so let's talk our system. So we're gonna use an assembly line system today. The straight flour, you want these all in separate shallow pans. You don't want them mixing. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crack 3 eggs. So 3 eggs is about right for 2 chicken breasts, okay? So I'm gonna do a third. And then what I wanna do is whisk this up. Now we're gonna whisk our eggs. So just break the yolks. Okay, just whisk them around. And this is gonna be our binder to get the breadcrumbs to stick, okay? And you want this pretty well beaten. You just want it mixed up pretty good. So remember, the only thing in here is eggs. There's no salt, no pepper, no nothing, okay? So a lot of people try to make their chicken parmesan more difficult than it has to be. This is a really simple recipe. Just keep it simple, okay? And it'll turn out great, I promise you. This doesn't need to be anything insane. Okay, so let me move this to the side. Okay guys, so we got our flour, our eggs, and our breadcrumbs. We are ready for our assembly line. The only step I'm gonna do from this point forward is I'm gonna take a little bit of the grated parm, throw it right in the breadcrumb, give it a mix, and that's just gonna give it a little bit extra flavor, okay? It's gonna give it a little bit of that extra cheese flavor. Okay, that off to the side. Okay, so the easiest way to do this, take your chicken, so it's wet, the flour's gonna stick to it, okay? Just give it a little coat, flip it. Make sure you lift it up and shake the excess off. You don't want all this excess flour in there. Right into the egg. Same thing. You're just gonna coat it. If you see a little spot that's dry, just get the egg back on it. Okay. Shake the excess. Right into the breadcrumb. So this part, it's easier just to scoop the breadcrumbs right on top of it. And then at this point, you want to press. Okay, you want to make sure the breadcrumbs stick. All right. Right back up and out. Lay it on your sheet pan. Okay, that's one. So let's do our second one. Okay, get our flour, give it a flip. So chicken's got some crevices and stuff, so just make sure you get the flour everywhere. You just want everything to stick. Okay. Actually, real quick, so you know what? I'm just gonna cut this one in half. This one's gigantic. I'm gonna cut this one in half. So I'm gonna make them all about the same size. Same thing, over into the egg. Over the egg. Okay, that's nice and coated. So I can see a little spot there that's dry, that's okay. Shake the excess off right into the bread. Bring the bread up and over. Give it a good press, just make sure everything is stuck. And then this is a good point where you can sort of see if you have any spots that aren't breaded. And you can always put more egg on and just do that later, okay? Right into the flour. Okay. Right into the egg. And then, you know, if you're doing more chicken breast, get more egg. It's okay. There's not really a right amount of egg. It's just however much egg you need to actually coat your chickens, okay? Right into the breadcrumb. So you can tell it's working, so if you do this by hand like I'm doing right now, like my hand is getting breaded. Like I could deep fry my finger right now, basically. Okay, so those are our 3 breaded chicken breasts, okay? So those are perfect, they are looking coated. I'm just gonna bring these over to the stove, and then I'm gonna wash my hands real quick, guys, okay? All right, so at this point my oil is just, it's on very low. I'm gonna start turning it up a little bit just to get it cooking, okay? chicken. Wash your hands, please. So at this point forward, I'm not really going to touch any chicken. I'm going to do this all by with tongs, basically. So a couple different ways to test if your oil's ready to go is this. Okay, just take a little bit of the breadcrumb you had, put it in. I can see it sizzling, so I know that's hot. If I want to be extra sure, I'm going to take my thermometer. I want it to be anywhere from 325 to about 350. Okay? So this oil is right about, yeah, this oil is hot enough right now, so it just went over 300, okay? So it's always good to have a meat thermometer around, and so you can check stuff like this. So I just want to do this very gently. As you can see, I only have about 1 inch of oil in here. I'm not trying to fry the whole thing at once. I'm just trying to get some color on them right now. I'm actually going to finish these in the oven. So you can see how the oil's not really coming over the top. That's okay, because I'm going to flip these. I just want to be very careful making sure it's not to burn. Oil has a very low smoke point, so I want to make sure my oil doesn't get too hot. And if you start to see smoke coming off the oil, it's too hot. Turn it down, okay? Olive oil is going to give it that really good flavor. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a quick turn. So you see that color coming on it? That looks really nice. So remember, I'm not trying to cook these. Watch out for splatters. You can turn the oil down a little bit if it starts to splatter. So it's really not going to be in the pan very long. Honestly, a minute or two. Okay? The more it's in this oil, the more oil it's going to absorb, and that's not what I want. I want a nice, light chicken parm. I don't want it drenched in oil, okay? If you go to like Olive Garden, Macaroni Grill, anything like that, it's like a giant piece of chicken covered in sauce. I'm going to do it a little bit different than that, okay? So we'll get to that step in a second. Let me just get this one fried real quick. So if I was to throw the meat thermometer in these chickens right now, they would probably be about 110 degrees. They wouldn't be anywhere close to the 165 I need them to be done. So looks can be deceiving. If somebody put this on a plate for you, you'd be like, oh, that's totally done. This is not done. That's not a cooked chicken breast. That is a par-cooked chicken breast at this point, okay? Get some stuff. So you guys, this is actually a good time to talk about this. So you see how this one's taking longer? It's because I put cold chicken in the pan. It dropped the temperature of the oil, so this one's taking a little bit longer. That's okay. It'll still turn out fine. The more stuff you put in the oil, the more it's going to drop the temperature of it, okay? So these are perfect. Okay, so it's just right on a sheet pan with a cover, okay? I'm going to turn the stove off. Okay, so my next step, guys, is I'm going to put these into a preheated 375 degree oven for about 5-6 minutes, okay? This is where they're going to get finished. If you guys are cooking in a restaurant, the secret is to get all this food done at the exact same time. Like if I did these in the pan, this one would be cooked while I was still frying this one. It would get cold. I want these all to come out at the exact same time. I want them all to be hot, and I want them all to be the right temperature, okay? So right into our thing, and then we'll check back in a couple minutes, and we'll see how we're doing, okay, guys? Okay, guys, our chicken's been in for about 5 minutes, so let's take a look and see where we're at, okay? Ah, that's looking excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I want to see where we're at. I want to gauge the amount of doneness to the amount of time that the mozzarella is going to take, okay? So I'm just going to insert the thermometer. You guys can take a peek. Okay, so we're almost done. So we're basically done. So we're just going to give this another couple minutes right in the oven with the mozzarella right on top, okay? So I'll explain why I don't put the mozzarella on in the oven when we, so don't be chintzy with it. Get yourself a good amount of mozzarella, okay? Okay. And this is just shredded. You can use fresh. You can use whatever you want. Okay, so we're going to put this back in the oven, get the cheese to melt, and then we're going to plate this, okay? All right, so probably another 3 minutes. Okay, guys, see you in a minute. Okay, guys, it's been another 3 minutes, so let's take a peek. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. You see how the cheese is getting all melty and brown? So always, 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 when you think you're about to serve, always check your temperatures once again, okay? I'm over 165. Check every piece, okay? I'm over 165. I'm over 165. Okay, so this chicken parm is done. Okay, so here let's do some plating. All right. So real quick. So I have some fettuccine I cooked up earlier. So I'm just gonna do a nice little plate. Okay, piece of chicken right over the top. Okay, so the reason I don't sauce this before it goes in the oven is I spent all this time breading it, I spent all this time frying it. I don't want the marinara to start being on it until the absolute last moment. It's wet, it's gonna start soaking through, you're gonna get a mushy chicken parm, okay? I know you at restaurants you see the parm or the marinara in the middle and then the parm on top. That's not the way I do it. Like I want this to be crispy the second it hits the plate. I want every bite to be crispy. I don't want it to be waterlogged, okay? So I'm actually gonna be very light with the sauce. You can always go get more later, okay? And then, so I got a little bit of chopped parsley. And then this just helps set it off. So, you know, it's like a red and green and white. It's like the Italian flag, okay? So that is our chicken parmesan. It's delicious, it's excellent. I hope you guys enjoyed making this with me, and we will see you next time, okay? Take it easy, guys.